Hi geometry students, you're hard at work with your projects and some of you have submitted them and they are looking good so far. There are a couple things I'm seeing that I'd like to correct, and let me just do a quick video to explain that. First of all, measuring. I want you to measure your dimensions. I did say you could estimate, and my thought in that is if you honestly can't find a ruler or a tape measure of some kind, I know for me when we moved a couple of years ago and everything was in boxes, there is no way I could have found a ruler or a tape measure for many, many, many weeks. So if you're in a situation like that where you just can't get your hands on a measuring tool, then estimate. But I want you to explain your estimate. You know, how did you come up with the numbers? Okay, but some of you are trying to kind of go the easy way out and just estimate your measurements, and that's not the that's not the intent of the project. If you've got a way to measure, I want you to measure. So I've got a ruler here. I do have a flexible tape measure. If anyone in your house does sewing, you might be able to find something like this. But let's talk spheres. A few of you have had tennis balls or similar items as your sphere. This is a basketball. It's a small one. It's a kind of a miniature, and it's a pretty difficult thing to measure the radius of this. Remember, the radius goes from the center of the sphere, inside the sphere, to the outer edge. I can't access the middle of the sphere, the center of the sphere, so I can't directly measure the radius, and that's what we need to make our volume and surface area calculations. But what I could do is I could try to measure the diameter. I could set the ball down on a ruler and maybe kind of use a piece of cardstock to kind of indicate edge to edge. That would work. I could also take my tape measure and measure the circumference, right? Think about the relationship between the circumference and the diameter. This looks like the circumference is about, let's see, can you guys read that? It's a little more than 56. Let's say 56.5. Okay, 56.5 centimeters is my circumference. Now, if you don't have one of these flexible tapes, but you do have a ruler, grab a string of any kind. I've got a shoelace here. You can do the same sort of thing. Wrap the string around your sphere. Might help to have a second set of hands. Pinch where you pinch the point on the string where you've gotten all the way around the sphere, and then you can measure your string from end to where you've pinched. So I could, again, I could use my ruler's not long enough, but that doesn't matter. I've got 46 from edge to edge, and then I can go back, and sure enough, I'm at about 56 and a half centimeters total. So that's a way you could measure the circumference of a sphere if that's one of the shapes you're using. The other tricky one that I'm seeing, I think every person that has submitted so far, we had some kind of an issue with the pyramid or the cone. That is the trickiest one. This was the only thing I could find in my house that's a cone, and it is a cone. It's an ice cream cone, waffle cone. The tricky part is the base isn't flat. So I'm not going to try to break the cone to make it flat because I think it would just kind of shatter, but I'm going to envision that my cone ends where this kind of lowest point is. So again, it'd be kind of hard to estimate the center and find the radius. And because of the shape of this one, it would even be kind of hard to measure the diameter. I suppose I could use my ruler and try to measure the diameter. Okay, but again, use your tape measure and find the circumference, and then use that to calculate your radius. So this looks like, I really need another pair of hands with this, but I measured it earlier, and it's about 19 centimeters around. Let's see if I can do a decent job here. Yep, so it's about 19 centimeters around. I'm going to call where this point is my base. So let's just review quickly. Circumference is 2 times pi times radius. Try to get that a little, there, that's better. And if my circumference was 19 centimeters, let's just plug that in. I can divide both sides by 2 pi. And if I take 19 divided by 2 pi in my calculator, that'll give me a pretty good estimate of what my radius is. Now, here's the other thing you need to remember. If I have a cone here, okay, I need the radius, I need the slant height to find the surface area, and I need this vertical height, I'll call it h, to calculate the volume. Now, the slant height is easy to measure, right? I can take my ruler, a ruler would work, a tape measure would work. That's easy to measure. That's the slant height. But to get this vertical height for the cone I have, that would be kind of hard to get. But what I can do is, if I know the radius and if I know the slant height, remember Pythagorean theorem, vertical height squared plus the radius squared should equal your slant height squared. You can use this relationship to calculate that vertical height. And in your cone and your pyramid, you're choosing one or the other, I want this relationship to hold. I want it to be true. So your measurements that you're using, the radius squared added to the vertical height squared should equal the slant height squared. I want that right triangle relationship to be true. And this is where I think most everyone so far has been kind of making a mistake. Most people have been using the slant height to calculate the volume, and that's not what we need. We need, remember, for a cone, volume is 1/3 times the area of the base, you need the radius for that, times the height. And the height we're talking about there is the vertical height and not the slant height. So there's a few hints for you as far as measuring and then calculating the dimensions that you need. I am recording this on Thursday morning. These are due Friday at 3 o'clock. So please reach out to me if you have questions, but you're gonna probably get a faster response if you reach out to a classmate or a parent, a sibling, if that's an option for you. By all means, have somebody check your work. That is fine to do. I will get back with you with corrections if I have time, but as more and more of these start coming in, I'm just not going to have time to review all of them before the deadline. So feel free to consult with someone else to check your work. All right, take care, you guys. Do email with questions and have fun. Have a good day.